Thank you very much. It's good to be back here at MDI. I was a good student, but I got 2 Fs, and they were both in the gymnasium, so I don't know what it means, but I'm here. I want to start by saying congratulations to all of you, the class of 2011. It's a great achievement. One of the things about this island that's important is family. So I also want to say a special thanks to all of your family out there for the hard work that they put in to get you here as well. You should feel very proud of the hard work that it took to get here and revel in the excitement of starting the first day of each of your own individual journeys. And I would like to thank, while I'm here, some of the people that helped me on my own journey who are in this room. I would not be here without Dan Stillman, who gave me a safe place in his art room and gave me my love of art and let me be myself. And so for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you, Dan. I also want to thank Mark Puglisi, who's also here. He cast me in my first play, and he gave me the confidence to be anything that I wanted to be. So thank you, Mark. I'd like to thank Mr. Ordway, too, who's not here. He's probably sailing on a boat in Florida in the sun right now, but he taught me my love of jazz, and he also drove our band around all over the state and didn't lose his temper too much as we made messes of every hotel room that we visited. So wherever you are, Mr. Ordway, thank you. I'd like to thank also Mr. Lebo, if for nothing else than not kicking me out of school when he had the chance. And he gave me my 3rd and 4th chances. And just a while ago, before the ceremony, we had a chance to look around at all the new improvements, and I must say I'm proud to be an alumni of here, and I'm proud to be a member of this community. It's really beautiful what's happened to this school. So thank you, Mr. Lebo. And also this year is my first teacher in Maine when I moved here in the 1st grade, Connie Blaney, who welcomed me with open arms into this community. And on the first day of school in Maine, she would always write a word for the day, and the first word was commence, which was a powerful word to begin my journey. So thank you, Mrs. Blaney. And lastly, my own family who's here, and the Wheelers and the Einhorns for helping support me along the way. So thank you guys as well. As Megan was saying a little bit, I'll just let you know what my story is. I moved to this island in the 4th grade, having spent the beginning of my childhood in Los Angeles and New York City. Although I had lived in the multicultural and multi-ethnic communities of New York and LA, it was here on this island that I formed my identity and opened my mind. I was welcomed and brought into this small and incredible community with open arms, my new safe harbor. Together, we are the sons and daughters of artists and writers, of ice fishermen and bartenders, of teachers and librarians. And we, by simple geography of an island, are forced to live together, to work together, to learn together, and to love together. Although one could describe this island as a simpler way of life than most cities, I found it to be the opposite. I found it to be complex and deep and pure. While the struggles of a city are often material struggles and of want, new cars, bigger apartments, higher paying jobs, more power, the struggles I witnessed here were more basic and more human. Are we going to afford propane to heat our houses through the long winter? Will we be able to catch enough lobsters to make the season profitable? Will our roof be repaired in time for the snow? Will the tourists give us headaches with their traffic? And God forbid, what if they don't come back next year? Through these struggles, I learned the most important lesson of them all, compassion and kindness. Compassion to be patient in the face of these struggles, the human struggles, the important ones, and kindness to those around you despite your differences and despite your similarities. When I graduated here in 1996, I moved with my family to Zimbabwe in Southern Africa. I studied music and history at a small college my mother was teaching at on the eastern highlands in the border of Mozambique. I was the only white student, and I took my lessons learned here and put them to use there. We would spend weekends with our friends in their villages, scatterings of small huts amid the rugged boulders. I was drawn to these communities where life is precious and man is measured by his grace and kindness rather than the size of his bank account or the type of BMW that he drives. Despite the difficulties of life in these villages, there was so much joy. Strangers are welcomed and brought in. You could drop out of the sky and be given a meal, a roof over your head, and the warmth of new friends to hear your story. I returned home to go to Bennington College in Vermont and studied film and anthropology. I worked hard and did well, but at times it seemed empty. I couldn't shake Africa. The beauty, the red earth, the poverty, the music, the art, and most of all the joy and kindness that the people have in the face of their struggles. After college, in an effort to reconnect with that spirit, I joined the Peace Corps and moved to a small village way off the map at the edge of the Gambian River in West Africa. I built schools and libraries, community gardens, forests, and taught HIV/AIDS education and dug wells. I had no experience prior to going to the Peace Corps except for my summer jobs here of construction and landscaping, but I forged ahead anyway. Some of my projects there succeeded, others failed, but in the end what was greater was just showing up, listening and being kind and compassionate to strangers who then became my family. It was a small village I lived in, 500 people, no electricity, no running water, no cars, no cell phones. I lived in a small hut. We worked all day and sat by the fire at night, laughed and told stories. Most of the people had never left the village. They had never seen a city. Everything they had was right there in that village. Every family member, every lover, every enemy, every friend. Life was difficult and basic. There was a drought one year that was followed by a famine. The next year it rained too much and ruined all the crops. Some people died, but life went on and others were born. When there was food to eat, we ate heartily, and when there was little food, we shared it throughout the village. In the face of these hardships, there was always joy and laughter. There was kindness and there was compassion. And I was in awe of it. I searched hard to find the source of this joy and power. We can often be so overwhelmed here with little things, become stressed over something that will pass. Yet these people had shine in the face of disaster and pain. How, I wondered. I started to get a clearer picture of it one year when I took a trip, my third year in Africa back home. I went to New York City to visit some of my friends. They took me to a party. There was a girl I went to college who was dating a guy named Tom who had a big loft on the Upper West Side. It was a complete dose of culture shock to go from a tiny village in the sixth poorest country to this lavish apartment. She told me this guy Tom's father was a very rich and famous writer who I happened to be a big fan of, so I was eager to meet Tom and tell him. When Tom came up to me, he was sort of looking a little haggard and lost, and I said, "Hey, I love your dad. He's an amazing writer." And Tom looked at me in sort of disgust and said, "No, that's great. I hate my dad." And I was floored by this. And when I returned to Africa, I continued to be haunted by it, because I thought this was a man who had everything. He had written 20 best-selling books, tens of millions of dollars, was loved and respected all over the world. But the one person who really mattered, his only son, hated him. And from that meeting, and in the safety of my little village in Africa by the side of the muddy river, it became clear to me what the purpose of life really was, which is compassion and kindness to everyone. It is the key to happiness and the key to a life fulfilled. Because in the end, when you leave this earth, you will not be remembered by what you have or by what you made, but you will live on through those you touched by a simple thought. Were you a good person or were you a bad person? Were you kind or were you mean? Were you a beacon of light or of dark? I left the Peace Corps and went back to Los Angeles to work in television. I worked on a couple different shows and spent my spare time traveling. Hitchhiking with my brother, I went back to Africa, and then I went to Haiti, which began the next phase of my life. I helped found a small nonprofit organization called Artists for Peace and Justice, which takes the power of Hollywood celebrities and raises money for an extraordinary man in Haiti named Father Rick Frechette. Father Rick lives by the same values I had come to know and is driven by the same joy and strength that I see in the Haitian people. He has built 40 schools, 4 hospitals, and employs over 2,000 people, and is my hero. In February, after the earthquake, I moved down to Haiti to help him and his team. The country was destroyed. Nearly 250,000 people were killed, and 1.5 million left homeless and living in tents. We distributed food and water and shelter. We gave medical care, amputations, wound care. We raised $6 million and began building a free secondary school for the very poor of Port-au-Prince. Through my time in Haiti, I was again drawn to the incredible spirit of the people, joy and laughter in the face of the greatest challenges known to man. The work I focused on was highlighting that joy, building movie theaters, starting Haiti's first Little League, making music and small films. We opened the school in September of last year, and I'll head back to Haiti tomorrow to prepare for the new school year. The need of food and water is always there, but it is often overlooked how to help heal the soul and the spirit. And about 6 months ago, I got an email from my old friend Bo Green and Augusta Blanford, and Bo told me that the senior class had raised money and supplies to give to Haiti. I arrived in Maine to pick it up. I was so blown away. There were handmade Christmas cards you guys made for my students, and baseball equipment you gave for my team. Instead of just a check, you guys gave Haiti what it needed: compassion and kindness and joy. And I don't know why I was surprised. After all, it was here on this island that I learned those lessons. In those gifts, I saw in action the amazing spirit of this island, reaching out, giving compassion and kindness to brothers and sisters in need a world away that you've never met. So thank you for that. Congratulations. And maybe you might remember this speech one day and be reminded that no matter how hard life gets, you are blessed to have grown up here and to try to lead your own lives as good people, men and women of compassion and kindness. Thank you.